Let me ask you something. If there will always be another goal to reach, another mistake to correct, another wound to heal, and another way you could grow, when exactly do you finally get to be enough? Maybe you've been trying to become something you already are. So let me tell you what made me realize that I was doing the same thing. Hey, Fighter Jet family. This is April Jett, the bondage breaker, your soul transformation facilitator. So, I was sitting here and I was listening to a recording of Jim Carrey. And something he said struck me so deeply that it caused me to immediately fill up with emotion and cry. He said, this is something you probably won't hear many actors and actresses say. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. And that's what made me cry. That's what made me stop everything I was doing and just cry. That just happened. And the reason that that hit me so deeply is, if you know anything about what it is that I've been sharing recently with my parents, my dad, his stroke, me being a caregiver, my mother also being disabled and needing assistance, helping to give for dad. And so that sudden responsibility, as well as mourning my father the way he was to now what he is, like the complete life shift that has happened as a result of those things with him and my mother. I also own a business, and I have two children under 10, 9 and 7, who I homeschool. And I'm a wife. It's just a lot of roles. And I find myself often, in spite of what I teach, I find myself often saying how I could be better and figuring out ways to be better. I find myself looking for the gaps in what I'm doing, looking for the places that I'm missing the mark so I can be better, so I can show up better. I often have found myself feeling sad that, man, I need to be a better daughter. I need to be a better caregiver. I need to show up more. I need to do more. I'm working so hard, in my business. My husband is working so hard. We're working so hard because I have enough, right? That's not the sentence. That's not the sentence that I'm living by. I have enough. No. You're working so hard because you don't have enough. Whatever that have is, it doesn't have to be I have enough finances. It could be I have enough impact. I've gotten to a certain, right, whatever your goals are, you don't have it yet, so you don't have enough. If you're not there yet, then you don't have enough. And so it's like I did not realize that I was living in contradiction to those statements. Even though I do the work within myself and I help others do the work within themselves to understand that they are enough. For us to understand that our happiness and our peace and our joy and our contentment is not found in anything outside of us. And so I know that. But me hearing those three words, those three statements, I have enough, I've done enough, and I am enough. And for that to make me break down and cry, I realized what Spirit was speaking to my soul is that you are not operating in that. Everything you're doing is in contradiction to those statements. So I want to encourage you to use those statements for yourself. I have enough. I've done enough, and I am enough. Woo! 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 Like, really, do you feel like you have enough? Or are you constantly realizing what it is that you don't have and then reaching for it? And it's not that it's something wrong with it, but it's something wrong with identifying with it. Right? And so that the I am part is the main thing. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. So that means right where you are, right where everything is, it is enough. Because you are enough. You don't have to be better. You don't have to do more. You don't have to accomplish more. You don't have to heal more. You don't have to understand more. You don't have to show up more. You don't have to be more perfect to be enough. You, just as you are, is enough. And I think we have such a hard time accepting that, because how do you balance that and weigh that in, take that into account as you are growing? If you're growing, then what you are must not be enough if there's something for you to grow into. It's like it's almost contradictory understandings, contradictory theories, contradictory philosophies. And I think that's where we get caught up. We get caught up in the contradiction of it all. So, something that my husband said a long time ago that has always stuck with me: two things can be true. That's what's coming up now. Two things can be true. So you can be enough and you can still grow. You can be enough and grow. You can have enough and still accomplish new goals. You can do enough and still decide to do more. But it's when you feel like you don't have enough and you don't do enough that you start to feel like that you are not enough. And so it's our identification with those things that we have to separate ourselves from what's happening on the outside. Separate ourselves even from our own behavior. Like the self, that part of you that is you, that's not going nowhere. That part of you that is always going to exist forever and forevermore. That part of you that is the fractal of the all. The fractal of God, consciousness, the creator of all things. That part of you is always enough. That part of you is always enough. That's not ever going to stop. But the pursuit of something different, the pursuit of new experience, the pursuit of growth, the pursuit of, right, is nothing wrong with that pursuit. But when you start to identify the self with the pursuit, or the self with the results of the pursuit, or the results of the lack of pursuit, or the results of other people's pursuit, then that's when everything shifts. So we must learn how to hold space for our enoughness while giving ourselves permission to ask for more. Just because you ask for more don't mean you don't have enough. Just because you go to get more doesn't mean you don't have enough. Just because, right? So it's like, that's what I'm starting to realize, is that we tend to get lost between the two. And it's about being able to hold space for both. And then the one thing that I wanted to share is I called my husband immediately after having that revelation. And when I called him, what Spirit was showing me as I was speaking to him, Spirit was showing me that you are those words, those statements, I've done enough, I have enough, I am enough. Those statements are meant to serve as a compass, as an anchor point, to help bring you back to the direction you're supposed to be going, right? It bring you back to truth. And so many times we let ourselves venture off. What I saw was a compass. I saw the sea, and I saw an individual facing away from north. And what I saw was them drifting away from north and going further and further and further and further and further south. And at some point, this individual is realizing that I am going the wrong direction. And so they begin to take steps to the left or the right. And as they take a degree to the right, 2 degrees to the right, 3 degrees to the right, they feel they're continuously moving, and they see I'm still going the wrong direction. And so they change course again, and they start to take 2 degrees or steps to the left, 3, 4. And as they are moving, they're still seeing I'm going the wrong direction. And so what results is this feeling of being lost and not knowing which way to go, not knowing which way to turn. And Spirit is saying that the reason for this is that you have let yourself go so far from north, so far from the way you were meant to go. You've allowed yourself to drift so far away from it that now when you take 1 or 2 steps off to redirect your course, to try to course correct, you are still so far off that you're still going in the wrong direction. And so you feel that void. You feel that lostness. There was a time when you were going in the right direction and you began to drift and you caught yourself. So 2 or 3 steps of redirection would put you back on course. But Spirit is saying that if you are feeling lost after your 2 or 3 or 4 steps, it's because you've allowed yourself to go so far away, to drift so far away. But what I'm receiving now is that when you feel that way, know that there is still hope. It's just that if you continue to move, right, 2 or 3 steps might not get it no more because you let yourself drift so far. But if you continue to take steps and you don't stop, then you will get back to the right direction. You will get back to the north. And it doesn't matter if you go left or you go right, you're going to go back to north. And so what I'm hearing and feeling in my spirit is for us to continue to show up. And if 2 or 3 steps isn't getting it, that just means you let yourself drift further than what you thought, but it's okay. This is the path. The path is to take the next step. The path is to keep going. The path is not to give up. The path is to trust. The path is to keep moving. And if you continue to move, whether you go left or you go right, if you don't stop, you will end up back due north. And so those 3 statements, I have enough, I've done enough, I am enough, it gets to be our compass. It gets to be that peace that calls us back, what I'm seeing is a lighthouse. That gets to be your lighthouse. That gets to be your lighthouse. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. I have enough. I've done enough. And I am enough. So you don't have to work yourself to the bone, because what you have is enough. It's enough. It's enough. You don't have to worry that you're going to be complacent with mediocrity. Being grateful for what you have and knowing that what you have is enough is not mediocrity. That's called gratitude. And from living from a space of gratitude is an abundant place to live. And it is the energy of abundance. And it will produce more abundance in your life. Abundance of good things. And so shifting the way that we see is going to shift everything about what we experience. I have enough. And I've done enough. For those of you who are constantly doing more, for whatever the reason you're doing more, maybe it's because you need to be liked. Maybe it's because you need to fit in. Maybe it's because you need to be needed. Maybe it's because fill in the blank. To be able to recognize that I've done enough. So if you don't like me, oh well. If you don't agree with me, oh well. I've done enough. That helps us to eliminate regret and even resentment. To know that you have done enough. And that what you have done and what you give and your efforts are enough, not because they're perfect, but because it's enough. It's enough. Even though it has fallen short of the goal. It's enough. And then finally, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. If you just recite that again and again and again and again, you'll start to feel within yourself the parts of you that disagree with that. I am enough, just like I am. I am enough in my imperfection. I am enough even though I know I'm dead wrong for having done or said that thing. I am still enough. We have to keep remembering that there is no such thing as a perfect person or a perfect world. And so there will always be room to grow. There will always be room to get better. So when will you ever feel like you are enough? We have to be able to understand that we can be enough and still grow. We do not have to live from a space of deficit. I'm not enough and I won't be enough until. Because if that's the case, then you'll never ever be enough. You'll never ever have enough. You'll never ever do enough. Because you're in the space of deficit. Always looking for the gaps. And because you live in an imperfect world, in an imperfect body, in this imperfect existence, there will always be a gap. So then where is your peace? Where is your happiness? Where is your fulfillment? If it's always the gap away from you, then you'll never get it. Because the gap is always going to be there. And so we have to learn to be able to accept what is the way that it is, so that way we can experience peace and joy and fulfillment for real. And that is in understanding that I am enough as I am. Okay. Okay. Well, there it is. That's what I came up here for. All right, y'all. Well, I love you. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. Let that be your lighthouse. Keep taking steps. If you feel like you're going the wrong direction, even after you've course corrected 4 or 5 different steps, just know that if you continue, you will end up back due north. It's not about the perfection of it all. It's about the movement. It's about acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we make it about something that it's not about. Just be. And just be okay with what is. And in the being okay with what is, then your next steps will come to you of how to experience something else that you want to experience. But staying in a space of I'm not enough, I don't have enough, and I'm not doing enough is only going to produce that for you. All right, y'all.